Dementia residents' speech varies markedly. Some dementia residents can speak very well. Others are totally aphasic and their words are jumbled and it's difficult to understand them. Then some dementia residents are aphasic at times, and then at other times when they're more confident and more relaxed, their speech is very clear. So there's a remarkable range. For the resident, though, that is aphasic, has difficulty communicating with speech and it's difficult to understand them, then it's important to work on things such as gestures, eye contact, body language, and understanding their history and their likes and their preferences and tuning into that, and also putting yourself in their shoes. What is it that you would like if you were in their situation? If you attend to it in that way, then often you can come up with the solution for the person. Now, if you're asking the person, for example, what it is they would like in their room, whether they would like another chair, a clock, a particular picture on the wall, etc., ask the dementia resident these questions when you are in the room with them, in their bedroom. Ask these specific questions in the bedroom so that you can point out, well, would you like another chair? So if there's already a chair in the room, point to that chair and say, would you like another chair? Would you like me to bring in your armchair from home? And then they can go yes or no. That's clear. Similarly, if they'd like a picture on the wall, you can just say, would you like me to bring in one of your favourite pictures from the wall? And then you can go through the one, would they like the picture of the farm? Would they like the picture of the horses? Or whatever pictures you know to be their favourites. And then they can just shake their head or no again. And then this way you can work through what it is they would like in the room. I mean, it might be that they point to the pillow and you know that they like a feather pillow. That's always been their favourite and they're very fussy about that. Again, you can bring in their favourite feather pillow, their favourite duvet, and on it goes. But do it in the room. Ask the questions in the room. You can't do it in the lounge room or another place where you haven't got access to be able to point to the things that you're talking about. And with the memory problem, they won't be able to remember anyway about the items in the room, or even sometimes that they're even living at the unit and are living in that room. Whereas if you're in the actual bedroom, you can just go through everything. Now, the second thing you can go through is the wardrobe. And so the person, your partner, sitting there, and you can say, show them the jacket that you've got. Are you happy with the jackets? Are you happy with the trousers, the shirts, etc.? And then, would you like some more pairs? Would you like me to bring in that favourite brown jacket? They'll be able to understand you, hopefully. Most of the time they can, and they can nod or shake their head as you go through things. And of course with the shoes, making sure they're comfortable. That's very important. Taking them for a walk up the corridor and seeing that the shoes are comfortable. Please do that, because there's nothing worse than having a callus or a bunion or something happening with your feet, a verruca, and having painful walking that can really put a person back. So that's what you can do in terms of communicating and understanding a person with dementia who's got aphasia and difficulty communicating. Now, it's also important to ask them about outside activities as well. So in terms of walking, just ask them, would you like to go for a walk or not? And get a yes, no answer for that. If they say no, then say, well, would you like to go out for a walk on the next sunny day? And they may say yes to that. Or if they say no to the walking, say, well, would you like to go for a drive instead? And they may well say yes to that. So you will know from their past interests what they like and don't like. So for example, if you've always gone for a Sunday drive and you've always enjoyed that, no doubt they'll continue to want to do that. So that's a lovely activity that they'll enjoy, that you don't need to speak with. That's the wonderful thing with walking and going for a drive. It's actually quite nice to just be outside and have a silent walk. You don't need to communicate. Whereas if you're sitting inside in the dementia unit having a cup of tea with everyone else, there's more social obligation to try and communicate. But when you're outside in the wheelchair, taking someone along in the sunshine, you can just both enjoy it and you don't need to say anything. And still, those good warm feelings, that camaraderie and that strength in the relationships can still shine through silence, even though the communication is not there through words. Now, another way that you can help the person who has difficulty speaking is meal times and morning and afternoon tea. Rather than just relying on the charts that you'll be given to fill out what the preferences of the person are, go to the meals with them. Really, it's a good idea. I would even suggest breakfast, lunch and dinner, once or twice a week, but vary it, because then you will know what it is that your partner likes, like breakfast, for example. I mean, most relatives tend to come for lunch or dinner, not breakfast, but you can go if you wish to be able to check out things and just explain to staff that because your husband's having difficulty communicating with what he likes, you know what he likes. For breakfast, you thought you'd just come and check things out. So you may well find that he's having poached eggs when he likes scrambled eggs. He's never liked poached eggs. Or you may find that the tea that he's being given has too much milk in it with sugar, when in fact he likes less milk without sugar, or whatever the equation is. There'll always be something that people prefer with food that is more easily assessed when you're actually there. And meal size portions, if they're a big eater, they prefer to eat more, maybe they're not receiving enough food. So these things you can work through at the meal times, and also with meals, afternoon and morning tea. It's also good to go there too, because if they like Milo and they're receiving a cup of tea, that so many mistakes can happen. I mean, even though you write it on the chart, it's in the notes, still there's so many factors to deal with. It can so easily be miswritten in the charts that your husband has, for example, tea when he likes Milo in the afternoon. And these little differences you can fill in with the carer that's giving out the tea and coffee, and also make sure that it's written in the notes. Now, also, if your partner's putting on weight, you may want to put them on a special diet, or even ask them or say to them, look, dear, you're putting on a bit of weight. I think we have to cut back on the cakes and biscuits, which they may not want to cut back on, but it's important because you don't want to start putting on weight in a dementia facility. It makes movement more difficult, walking more difficult, clothes more uncomfortable. Talk it through with them and just say, look, I really think it's important that we cut back into, fruit for dessert instead of sticky, syrupy, creamy desserts, which of course he loves. I think we better cut back to fruit salads, dear, and sandwiches for morning and afternoon tea, because it's much better if you lose weight. So talk it through with them, and then so that they understand why they're not getting their lovely syrupy cakes. And then you can be with them for morning and afternoon tea and have the sandwich too. It's a bit mean I've seen relatives have the lovely sugary cakes and then their partners having the sandwich, which, they get a bit miffed about sometimes. So if you can just have the same as what your partner's having if they're on a diet, then it's sort of fairer ground, so to speak. So I've written these, so there's many aspects and many ways, but just keeping an eye out for your dementia resident partner, being the eyes and ears, knowing their preferences, knowing their history, knowing what they like, you'll have a very good idea as to what they prefer. And otherwise just ask yes, no answers. Would you like this, dear? If not, would you like that, dear? And see from being, taking the standpoint of being in their shoes, you will be able to often gauge what it is they would like, or near to. These two books I've written, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit, and on my website, www.pietavalentine.com. Thank you for your interest, your looks and your likes, and please pass on these links and subscribe. Thank you.